The median of a data set is a measure of center that is the middle value when the original data values are arranged in order of increasing or decreasing magnitude. Now, for our purposes, we're going to look at the when they're arranged in order of increasing magnitude. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing is, what we want to do first is we want to put our data values in increasing order. When we do that, we're going to create an order statistic, okay? Order statistics. And what an order statistic is, it's just what we get as a result of rearranging the data set so that it's in ascending order. And the distinct thing here is that is the notation. These order statistics are denoted this way. Instead of xi, which are the original raw data, order statistics are actually denoted by x with a parenthetical I. So if you remember correctly, xi represented our data values. So if you just see an x with a number, like for instance x1 or x2, if you just see an x with a number beside it as a subscript, you're just talking about the individual data values. But when you see an x with a number in parentheses as a subscript, that's how you know you're dealing with the order statistics for that data set. So the order statistics, this is the new notation we're going to be using. Whenever you see parentheses around the subscript, that is telling you that you're dealing with an order statistic from a data set in which the original data values have already been rearranged in increasing order. All right, the next thing is I want you to notice that not only xn, but also x with a parenthetical n, the order statistic, both of these represent the last data set, the last data value in the data set. This one is the last data value when the set is not arranged in any particular order. This one is actually the maximum value. So x with the parenthetical n is actually the maximum data value. All right? And n, this could be lowercase or uppercase n, by the way. N is just the sample or population size. Since we're using lowercase n, we're going to be looking at the sample size. What we want to do once we've arranged our data in ascending or increasing order so that we have these order statistics that we're talking about, once we have the order statistic, the next step is this. We're going to take the sample size n and divide it by 2 to tell where the middle of our data set is. We want to find the middle value, so all we have to do is take our sample size n and divide it by 2. Now there are two cases here for n over 2. N over 2 can either be a whole number or n over 2 can be a decimal number. Now, if n over 2 is a decimal number, then all we have to do is round up. So if n over 2 is a decimal, we just round up. But if n over 2 is a whole number, then we actually end up averaging two order statistics. Let me show you how we do this in practice. So remember how everything is going here. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to create the order statistics by putting our data set in ascending order. Once we put our data set in ascending order, the next step is to divide n by 2. Figure out what the maximum value is, look at its subscript, that'll be n, and then I'm going to divide n by 2. Depending on whether I get a decimal number or I get a whole number, I'll proceed from there. So let's take a look at this first data set. Well, this is data set 1, the same data set we looked at when we were doing the mean as data set 1. And these are the xi. So these things here, oops, these things here are what we call the xi, the original raw data. So these values here are original raw data. Those are xi. For instance, if I is 1, we have 9 as the value. That's the first element of our raw data set. If x is 4, if I is 4, If I is 4, I have x4, which is 14, the fourth element of my raw data set. But I don't want to have the xi's. What I want is I want the order statistics. So I want to rearrange this data set so that it is in increasing order. And when I do that, I'm going to change the subscript to a subscript with parentheses. So let's look at the first order statistic. The first order statistic is really the minimum value. It's the smallest number in our data set. And the smallest number in this data set is actually the first value in the raw data set is 9. So coincidentally, x1 without the parentheses and x1 with the parentheses turn out to be the same number. The first number in the raw data set is actually the smallest value. All right, now let's look at the second order statistic. The second order statistic, x2, is, let's see, the second number in order. If 9 is the smallest number, I see 11 as the next largest number, or the next smallest number, sorry. So we're going in ascending order. The next number would be x3, the third order statistic. The third smallest number in order, we're going in ascending order, is also 11. And then x4, x4 would be also 11. And then x5, x5 is, let's see, after 11, the next largest value, or the next smallest value after 11 is 13. The next smallest value after that, x6. x6 is 14. And the largest value, the maximum value, x7, this largest order statistic, is 15. So there we've done the first part. We've arranged the values in increasing order of magnitude. So we've addressed that part of it. In order to find the median, you first have to find the order statistics. You first have to list the data values in increasing order. Okay? Now, once you have your data values in increasing order, the next step I said was to find n. And here, the largest data value, the subscript of that data value is going to be our n. So here's n right here. N is 7. So n is equal to 7. And what we want is we want to figure out what half of n is. If we can figure out half of n, we found the middle of the data set. So all we have to do is take n and divide it by 2. Now, n is 7. I'm dividing that by 2 to find the middle of my data set. And there are two cases here. In one case, we are going to get a decimal number, and in the second case, we're going to get a whole number. Those are the only two possibilities. So the first one, the decimal number, is what we have here. 7 over 2 is actually 3.5. Whenever you get a decimal number, the next thing you want to do is round that number up. Round up. And if you round this number up, it gives you a 4. That is actually telling us what the subscript of the order statistic, that is the median, is. So in this particular problem, the median for this data set, which I'll abbreviate MED, the median is actually the order statistic x4. So whenever you get a decimal number rounded up, that'll be the number of the order statistic that you should be using for the median. So the median here is x4, and x4 is this value right here. x4 is equal to 11. So we found the median of this data set. The median is 11. Let's go ahead and do the same thing for another data set. So let's look at this data set here. So what we have the xi here. These are the xi that we were talking about. So we're going to take those xi and we're going to create order statistics from them by putting them in ascending order. And when I do that, all I have to do to denote that is change those subscripts into parenthetical subscripts. So I put parentheses around those subscripts to show that this data set is actually being written in order. So the minimum value, which is, oops, let's go back to black here. The minimum value, which is the smallest or the first order statistic, the first order statistic, the minimum value, is the smallest number in our data set, and I see that is the number 20. So 20 is the first order statistic, or the smallest value. The second order statistic, x2. The second order statistic now is the next smallest value. The next smallest value I see in this list is 38. So 38 is the second order statistic. x3, the third smallest value. Let me see. The third smallest value I see here is 55. So x3 is 55. x4, the fourth smallest data value. Let's see what x4 is. x4, we had 55. 56 seems to be x4. x4 is 56. Then we'll have x5. x5, the fifth order statistic. Let's see, the fifth number in order here would be 71. 71. And the maximum value, x6, is going to be 72. So there I have my order statistics. I've listed the data in ascending order. Once we've listed the data in ascending order to meet this criteria, arranged in order of increasing magnitude, once we've done that, the next step is to find the middle value. Now, finding the middle value in the last set was easy. Let's take a look back there. In the last set, well, you have three values on, well, oops, let's take a look at the order statistics. The order statistics, you have three values on the left and three values on the right of the one that we found. That was easy because here you have the three that are to the left of 11. Here you have the three that are to the right of 11. And 11 falls right in the middle, three on each side. In this case, it's not quite that straightforward because if you divide this up into three groups of three, there's no actual number in the middle because there's only 6 values. So anytime n, the sample or population size, is an even number, you're going to have to do something special. You can't just divide and round up. In this case, if we divide n, our n here is the value of the, and notice I use uppercase n because previously I had said this was a population. So the largest data value has n of 6, so n is equal to 6 here. And remember the trick was to take n and divide it by 2. And in this case, n divided by 2 is 6 divided by 2. Oops, I'm thinking ahead. N divided by 2 here is 6 divided by 2. And 6 divided by 2 is the number 3. So in the last case, after we rounded up because we got a decimal, we got the number of the order statistic that was the median. In this case, we're not getting the number of the order statistic that's the median actually. In this case, what we actually have to do is we have to take the order statistic with this number, the third order statistic, and the next order statistic in line and find their average, adding them together and dividing by 2. So basically, whenever you get a whole number, when you divide n by 2, to find the median, what you have to do is you have to take that whole number, the order statistic for that particular whole number, in our case is x3. You have to take x3, add the next order statistic in line, which in this case is x4, and divide those by 2 to average those two out. What that means is that the median is halfway between x3 and x4. So let's see what that's equal to. Let's see. x3 is 55. 55. x4 is 56. 56. We have that right here. And when I divide that by 2, I get 55.5. And this is the value of our median. So we had two distinct cases. The two distinct cases were these. Let's recap that. These were the two distinct cases. If n over 2 is a decimal, round up, and that order statistic is the median. Okay, now if n over 2 is a whole number, that's the other case. So that was case 1. Case 1 is the case where n over 2 is a decimal. If n over 2 is a whole number, oops, whole has a h in it, whole number, then average that out order statistic and the next. And that is how we will find the median. Okay, so I've given you example of both of those, and this is how we are going to find the median for data, for raw data.